Okay, the intros always suck on these, so I'm just gonna start. My glasses on. Book 3, The Lord of the Western Approaches. The sun rose on the flawless brimming sea into a sun sky all brazen, all one brightening for gods immortal and for mortal men on plowlands kind with grain. And facing sunrise, the voyagers now lay off Pylos town, compact stronghold of Neleus. On the shore, black bulls were being offered by the people to the blue-maned god, who makes the island tremble. 9 congregations, each 500 strong, let out 9 bulls apiece to sacrifice, taking the tripes to eat, while on their altars thigh bones and fat lay burning for the god. Here they put in, furled sail, and beached the ship, but Telemachus hung back in disembarking, so that Athena turned and said, "Not the least shyness now, Telemachus. You came across the open sea for this, to find out where the great earth hides your father and what the doom was that he came upon. Go to old Nestor, master charioteer, so we may broach the storehouse of his mind. Ask him with courtesy, and in his wisdom he will tell you history and no lies." So basically what's going on right now is that they're going to this guy, Nestor, so Telemachus, Athena. They're all heading on over to Nestor, and they're going to ask him, they're going to broach the storehouse of his mind to ask about his father. That's basically it. The previous one was just talking about Poseidon. I don't know what exactly he was talking about, but it was Poseidon. That's why I said the big blue god or whatever. But clear-headed Telemachus replied, "Mentor, how can I do it? How approach him? I have no practice in elaborate speeches, and for a young man to interrogate an old man seems disrespectful." But the gray-eyed goddess said, "Reason and heart will give you words, Telemachus, and a spirit will counsel others. I should say the gods were never indifferent to your life." She went on quickly, and he followed her to where the men of Pylos had their altars. Nestor appeared enthroned among his sons, while friends around them skewered the red beef or held it scorching. When they saw the strangers, a hail went up. All that crowd came forward, calling out invitations to the feast. Pisistratos in the lead, the young prince, caught up their hands in his and gave them places on curly lambskins flat on the sea, and sandy Thrasymedes, his brother, and his father. He passed them bits of the food of sacrifice, and pouring wine in a golden cup, he said to Pallas, Athena, daughter of Zeus, "Friend, I'm going to explain what happened right now. So basically what happened is Telemachus is like, I shouldn't ask this guy. He's old, and old people, you don't ask them questions. That seems rude. But then Athena is like, you're fine. You're good. And then they show up. All the people start gathering around to their ship. And now this guy is going to talk to Athena. "Friend, I must ask you to invoke Poseidon. You find us at this feast, kept in his honor. Make the appointed offering then, and pray, and give the honeyed wine cup to your friend so he may do the same. He too must pray to the gods on whom all men depend. But he is just my age. You are the senior, so here, I give you the goblet first." So he says, "Hey, buddy, welcome. Pray to Poseidon. Also get your friend over there, the big doofus Telemachus over there, get him to do it." And he put the cup of sweet wine in her hand. Athena liked his manners and the equity that gave her precedence with a cup of gold. So she besought Poseidon at some length. "Earth shaker, listen and be well disposed. Grant your petitioners everything they ask. Above all, honor to Nestor and his sons. Second, to every man of Pylos town, a fair gift in exchange for his hecatomb." I don't know what that means. Let's look up what hecatomb is. Hecatomb. Meaning, it's spelled with a C. A great public sacrifice of 100 oxen. All right. Third, may Telemachus and I perform the errand on which last night we put to sea. So, she's praying to Poseidon and say, give honor to their king, give honor to all of them in exchange for them sacrificing oxen. Who cares about the oxen? Screw the oxen, man. Screw the oxen. This was the prayer of Athena, granted in every particular by herself. She passed the beautiful wine cup to Telemachus, who tipped the wine and prayed as she had done. Meanwhile, the spits were taken off the fire, portions of crisp meat for all. They feasted, and when they had eaten and drunk their fill, at last they heard from Nestor, prince of charioteers. Now is the time. I'll give Nestor like an old man voice. Now is the time, he said, for a few questions. Now that our young guests have enjoyed their dinner, who are you, stranger? Where are you sailing from? And where to down the highways of Sea-One? Have you some business here? Or are you now reckless wanderers of the sea? Oh, like those certain corsairs who risk their life to prey on other men. That is a very... I'm lightheaded now because that's a very airy voice. Clear-headed Telemachus, I hate how I keep saying clear-headed. Clear-headed Telemachus responded cheerfully, for Athena gave him heart. By her design, his quest for news about his father's wandering would bring him fame in the world's eyes. So he said, Nestor, pride of Achaeans, Neleus' son, you ask where we are from, and I can tell you. Our home port is under Mount Neon, Ithaca. We are not here on Ithacan business, though, but on my own. I want news of my father, Odysseus, known for his great heart, and I will comb the wide world for it. People say he fought along with you when Troy was taken. As to other men who fought that war, we know where each one died and how he died. But Zeus allotted my father death and misery. No one can say for sure where he was killed, whether some hostile landsman or the sea. The storm waves on the deep sea got the best of him. And this is why I come to you for help. Tell me of his death, sir, if perhaps you witness it, or have heard some wanderer tell the tale. The man was born for trouble, sparing no part of it for kindness' sakes. But put the scene before me as you saw it. If ever Odysseus, my noble father, served you by promise kept or work accomplished in the land of Troy, where you Achaeans suffered, recall those things for me the way they were. Okay, so once they're done, they drank, they had a good old time, they had a fun old time, and then Nestor's like, who are you? And Telemachus is like, I'm Telemachus. You may know my daddy's Odysseus. Oh, tell me how he died. And that's what just happened. Then Nestor, prince of charioteers, made answer. Dear friend, you take me back to all the trouble we went through in that country. We Achaeans. Rough days aboard ship on cloudy sea, cruising away for pillage after Achilles. Rough days of battle around Priam's town. Our losses then. So many good men gone. Ares' great ice lie there. Achilles lies there. Patroclus too, the wondrous counselor, and my own strong and princely son, Antilochus, fastest man of them all, and a born fighter. Other miseries and many we endured there. Could any mortal man tell the story? Not if you were to stay 5 years or 6 to hear how hard it was for the flower of the Achaeans. You'd go home weary and the tale untold. Think, we were there 9 years and we tried everything, all stratagems against them, up to the bitter end that Zeus begrudged us. And as to the stratagems, no man would claim Odysseus' gift for those. He had no rivals, your father, at the tricks of war. Your father? Well, I must say I marvel at the sight of you. Your manner of speech couldn't be more like his. One would say no boy could speak so well. And all that time at Ilion, he and I, we were never at odds in council or assembly, saw things the same way. had one mind between us and all the good advice we gave the Argives. But when we plundered Priam's town and tower and took to the ships, God scattered the Achaeans. He had a mind to make homecoming hard for them, seeing they would not think straight nor behave, or some would not. So evil days came on them, and she who had been angered, Zeus's dangerous gray-eyed daughter, did it, starting a fight between the sons of Atreus. First, they were fools enough to call assembly at sundown, unheard of hour. The Achaean soldiers turned out, soaked with wine, to hear talk about it from their commanders. Menelaus, harangued them to get organized. Time to ride home on the sea's broad back, he said. Okay, what's harangued? Harangued. Harangue them. A lengthy and aggressive speech. All right. Harangue them to get organized. Time to ride home on the sea's broad back, he said. But Agamemnon's wouldn't hear of it. He wanted to hold the troops, make sacrifice a hecatomb, something to pacify Athena's rage. Folly again to think he could move her. Will you change the will of the everlasting gods in a night or day's time? The two men stood there hammering at each other until the army got to its feet with a roar, and no decision, wanting it both ways. That night no one slept well, everyone cursing someone else. Here was the bane from Zeus. At dawn we dragged our ships to the lordly water, stowed aboard all our plunder, and the slave women in their glow-hip girdles. But half the army elected to stay behind, with Agamemnon as their corpse commander. The other half embarked and pulled away. We made good time, the huge sea smoothed before us, and held our rights when we reached Tenedos, being wild for home. But Zeus, not willing yet, now cruelly set at odds a second time, and one a lot turned, put back in the rolling ships, under command of the subtle captain Odysseus. The notion was to please Lord Agamemnon. I fled with every ship I had. I knew fate had some devilment brewing there. Diomedes, roused his company and fled too, caught up with us as Lesbos. While we mulled over the long sea route, unsure whether to lay our course northward of Chios, keeping the island of Syria off to port, or inside Chios, coasting by windy Mimas. We asked for a sign from heaven, and a sign came to cut across the open sea to Euboea, and lose no time putting our ills behind us. The wind freshened astern, and the ships ran before the winds on the paths of this deep sea fish, making Gerestos before dawn. We thanked Poseidon with many a charred thigh bone for that crossing. On the fourth day, Diomedes' company under full sail put in at Argos port, and I held on for Pylos. The fair wind, once heaven set it blowing, never failed. Okay, I'm gonna stop there because that was a long time of just reading, and I messed up quite a bit. Basically, he said, we went through so much, man. You don't even know. It's going to take forever for me to tell this story. Anyway, your dad, we were like best friends. We were like BFFs, you know what I'm saying? We like tried everything, you know? We just did everything. We like tried to calm the gods. This one guy, he wanted to spend like an entire day like killing off oxen for Athena, make her happy. But I know better. I know that like she's not like that. She's not going to be persuaded in a day. You know what I'm saying? Women, am I right? And then so I think they split up. We sailed on the sea. We sailed for quite a long time. We went for a long while. Zeus was still kind of mad at us. He made it kind of difficult, but you know, eventually we got there, and you know, everything was pretty all right. This is a hard chapter. To decipher. So this, dear child, was how I came from Troy. Sorry, I have severe gas issues. So this, dear child, was how I came from Troy, and saw no more of the others, lost or saved. But you are welcome to all I've heard since then at home. I have no reason to keep it from you. The Myrmidon, spear fighters returned, they say, under the son of lion-hearted Achilles. And so Pylos, his great son, Philoctetes, Idomeneus brought his company back to Crete. The sea took not a man from him, of all who lived through the long war, and even as far away as Ithaca. You've heard of Agamemnon, how he came home, how Aegisthus wanted to destroy him, but paid a bitter price for it in the end. That is a good thing now, for a man to leave a son behind him, like the one who punished Aegisthus for the murder of his father. You too are tall and well set up, I see. Be brave, you two, so men in times to come will speak well of you. Yeah. This has so much unnecessary information. I don't think you're going to need it to know any of it. Then Telemachus said, Nestor, pride of Achaeans, Neleus' son, that was revenge, and far and wide the Achaeans will tell the tale in song for generations. I wish the gods would buckle his arm on me. I'd be revenged for outrage on my insidious and brazen enemies, but no such happy lot was given to me, or to my father. Still, I must hold fast. To this, Lord Nestor of Gerenia said, My dear young friend, now that you speak of it, I hear a crowd of suitors for your mother lives with you, uninvited, making trouble. Now tell me how you take this. Do the people side against you, hearkening to some oracle? Who knows, your father might come home someday, alone or backed by troops, and have it out with them. If gray-eyed Athena loved you the way she did Odysseus in the old days, in Troy country, where we all went through so much, never have I seen the gods help any man as openly as Athena did your father. Well, as I say, if she cared for you that way, there would be those to quit this marriage game. But prudently, Telemachus replied, I can't think of what you say will ever happen, sir. It is a dazzling hope, but not for me. It could not be, even if the gods willed it. It's basically what he's saying, my dad's not coming back. He's dead. He's out of here. Screw my dad. Screw you, Dad. Actually, he loves his dad. I don't misinterpret that. And then Nestor basically said, Athena supported your dad quite a bit. So, I mean, like, maybe he's still alive. He's going to maybe come back with some troops. And then Telemachus shoots that down. He doesn't agree with it, even though he kind of does. He has a suspicion that his dad is still alive, but he's playing it up. He's playing it up. After that old man went on that rambling story about the battle, the Trojan War. At this, gray-eyed Athena broke in, saying, What strange talk you permit yourself, Telemachus. A god could save the man by simply wishing it, from the farthest shore in the world. If I were he, I should prefer to suffer years at sea, than be safe at home. Better that than a knife at my hearth's side, where Agamemnon found it, killed by adulterers. Though as for death, of course, all men must suffer it. The gods may love a man, but they can't help him when cold death comes to lay him on his bier. So basically, Athena's like, shut up, Telemachus. If a god's out there likes him, like, he can come back anytime. He's gonna come, But, it's better than being dead, even if he is out there. And Telemachus replies, Mentor, grievously, though we miss my father, why go on as if that homecoming could happen? The gods had settled it already, years ago when dark death came for him. But there's something else I imagine Nestor can tell us, knowing as he does the ways of men. They say his rule goes back over 3 generations, so long, so old, it seems death cannot touch him. Nestor, Neleus' son, true sage, say how did the lord of the great plains Agamemnon die? What was the trick Aegisthus used to kill the better man? And Menelaus, where was he? Not at Argos in Achaea, but blown off course, held up in some far country. Is that what gave the killer nerve to strike? So Telemachus is like, yeah, no, he's dead. My dad's dead. But what about Agamemnon? What did Aegisthus do? How did he kill him? Did he have like confidence or whatever? He's like in a different country. He's like, oh, okay, I can kill him. Lord Nestor of Gerenia made answer. Well, now, my son, I'll tell you the whole story. Oh my god. Oh my god. Why? No, the old man just keeps talking. All right. Well, now, my son, I'll tell you the whole story. You know yourself what would have come to pass if red-haired Menelaus, back from Troy, had caught just this in that house alive. There would have been no burial mound for him, dogs to carry on birds to huddle on him in the fields beyond the wall, and not a soul bewailing him for the great wrong he committed. While we were hard pressed in the war at Troy, he stayed safe inland in the grazing country, making light talk to win Agamemnon's queen. But the lady Clemence's Charmla in the first days rebuffed him, being faithful still. Then too she had her hand as her companion. A minstrel Agamemnon left her attending her, charged with care. When he took ship for Troy, then he came the fated hour when she gave in. Her lover struck the poet and marooned him on a bare island for the seabirds picking, and took her home as he desired. And many thigh bones he burned on the god's altar, and many a wood and gold and ornament hung to bedeck him. In his satisfaction, he had not thought life held such glory for him. Alright. So the old man, he said, I'm gonna tell you everything that happened. Alright. So there would have been no burial for Aegisthus. Like, he was dead to everyone. Like, he would just be like, he just want Agamemnon's queen. Like, he wants that. But she stayed faithful, man. She stayed faithful. She, like, kind of like, you know, she did some stuff, but, you know, she was faithful. And then we, like, did some sacrifices just to make sure, you know, like, just so that the gods were satisfied. And that just to make sure that everything went out all right. Now, Menelaus and I sailed home together on friendly terms from Troy. But when we came off Sunian Point in Attica, the ship still running free, Oneator's son, Phrontis, the steersman of Menelaus' ship, fell over with a death grip on the tiller. Some unseen arrow from Apollo hit him. No man handled a ship better than he did on a high wind and sea. So Menelaus put down his longing to get on and landed to give this man full honor and funeral. His own luck turned then. Out on the wine dark sea in the murmuring hulls again, he made Cape Malea. But Zeus, who views the wide world, sent him a gloom over the ocean, and a howling gale came on with the sea's increasing mountainance, parting the ships and driving half toward Crete, where the Cydonians lived by the Eridanus River. Off Gorton's coastline in the misty sea, there reef. These are black, cut through the water, and every westerly piles up a pounding surf along the left side, going toward Phaistos. So basically, Menelaus and Nestor sailed home together, And they notice so they're just sailing out. They're going out, having a good time out on the sea. Zeus is like, screw you guys, going here? Let me throw some winds at you. And so he throws winds at them. This is stupid. What is Nestor talking about? He's like a grandpa. Big seas buffeted back by the narrow stone. They were blown there and fought in vain for sea room. The ships kept going into their destruction, slammed on the reef. The crews were saved, but now those 5 that weathered it got off to the southward, taken by wind and currents onto Egypt. And there Menelaus stayed. He made a fortune in sea trafficking among those distant races. But while he did so, the foul crime was planned and carried out in Argos by Aegisthus, who ruled over golden Mycenae for 7 years. 7 long years with Agamemnon died. He held the people down before the Vengeance. So basically, they land in Egypt. Menelaus, he's like, I'm just gonna stay here. I'm gonna make some bucks, make some dinero. And Aegisthus, he killed Agamemnon. He stabbed him. It's like, Agamemnon's dead. He took over his kingdom by seducing Agamemnon's queen, and so now he's in control of this land for 7 years. I wonder what's gonna happen. But in the 8th year, back from exile in Attica, Orestes killed the snake who killed his father. So Agamemnon's son, which is Orestes just comes in, he kills Aegisthus. I don't know. Aegisthus, one of those two. He kills him. Now, he's taking the throne back. Orestes is an absolute baller. He gave his hateful mother and her soft man a tomb together. And oh my god, he killed his mother? He killed his mom as well, which is quite strange. I don't know why he killed his mom. And proclaimed the funeral day a festival day for all the Argive people. That day, Lord Menelaus of the great war cry made port with all the gold his ships could carry. And this should give you pause, my son. Don't stay too long away from home, leaving your treasure there and brazen suitors near. They'll squander all you have or take it from you. And then how will your journey serve? I urge you, though, to call on Menelaus, he being but lately home from distant parts in the wide world. A man could well despair of getting home at all, if the winds blew him over the great South Sea. That weary waste, even the winters in birds delay. 1 winter more before the northward crossing. Well, take your ship and crew and go by water, or if you'd rather go by land, here are horses, a car, and my own sons for company as far as the ancient land of Lacedaemon and Menelaus, the red-haired captain there. Ask him with courtesy, and in his wisdom, he will tell you history and no lies. So, basically what's happening is Orestes, he made a national holiday when he came back and buried and had a funeral for his mom in Aegisthus. He made that a national holiday. And then Nestor's like, okay guys, that's all I know. So go towards Menelaus, go to him, take the sea, do something. Make sure to get back soon though, because those suitors, they're gonna steal your stuff, man. Those suitors, don't trust them. If you're out at sea, they're gonna steal your stuff, man. While Nestor talked, the sun went down the sky, and gloom came on the land. Yeah, he just kept talking. He talked for hours. And now the gray-eyed goddess Athena said, Sir, this is all most welcome and to the point, but why not slice the bull's tongue now, and mix libations for Poseidon and the gods? Then we can all retire. High time we did. The light is going under the dark world's rim. Better not linger at the sacred feast. So basically, Athena's like, shut up, Nestor. Stop talking. You're super annoying, man. None of this was necessary. You didn't need to know any of this. This isn't going to help at all. Anyway, we should probably get on to making some food for Poseidon, like sacred feast, like please just move on, please. I'm tired of this. When Zeus's daughter spoke, they turned to listen, and soon the squires brought water for their hands, while stewards filled the wine bowls and poured out a fresh cup full for every man. The company stood up to fling the tongues in a shower of wine over the flames, when they drank their thirst away. Now finally Telemachus and Athena bestirred themselves, turning away to the ship, but Nestor put a hand on each and said, now they're about to leave. They had a good time. They had a good old laugh. And then Nestor's like, oh, hold up, guys, I'm gonna tell you another story. Now Zeus forbid, and the other gods as well, that you should spend the night on board and leave me as though I were some pauper without a stitch. No blankets in his house, no piles of rugs, no sleeping soft for house or host or guest. Far from it. I have all these blankets and deep-piled rugs, and while I live, the only son of Odysseus will never make his bed on a ship's deck. No, not while sons of mine are left at home to welcome any guest who comes to us. So Nestor's like, oh, why don't you sleep over? I have all these blankets. Oh, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna watch a movie. We're gonna watch like the Lego movie. That's a pretty good movie. I have it on DVD. My mom recorded it when they were playing it on Cartoon Network. We're gonna have a fun time. But then the great-eyed goddess Athena answered him, you are very kind, sir, and Telemachus should do as you ask. That is the best thing. He will go with you, and will spend the night under your roof. But I must join our ship and talk to the crew to keep their spirits up. Since I'm the only senior in the company, the rest are boys who shipped for friendship's sake. No older than Telemachus, any of them. Let me sleep out. Then by the black hall's side, this night at least, at daybreak, I'll be off to see Caconians about a debt they owe me, and an old one, and no trifle. As for your guest, send him off in a car with one of your sons, and give him thoroughbreds, a racing team. So, basically what she says is, I gotta go. Athena says, I gotta go, but Telemachus, you stay here. Have a good old time. You guys are too young. You guys, you kids and your sleepovers and with old men, very old men. And at daybreak, give them horses. Make sure they're thoroughbred. Like, I don't want any mutts driving my Telemachus. Telemachus deserves the best horses. Not horses at all. Even as she spoke, Athena left them, seeming a seahawk in a clap of wings. Why does she bother disguising herself as mentees if she's just gonna fly? And all the Achaeans of Pylos town looked up astounded. Awed then by what his eyes had seen, the old man took Telemachus' hand and said warmly, my dear child, I can have no fears for you, no doubt about your conduct or your heart. If you, at your age, the gods are your companions. Here we had someone from Olympus, clearly the glorious daughter of Zeus, his third child, who held your father dear among the Argives. O lady, hear me. Grant an illustrious name to me and to my children and my dear wife. A noble heifer shall be yours in sacrifice, one that no man has ever yoked or driven. My gift to you, her horns all sheathed in gold. So basically what Nestor said, oh, it's Athena. Oh, that's cool. Oh, Nestor is a crazy old man. Oh, how much longer in this chapter? Only like 3 more pages. So he ended, praying, and Athena heard him. Then Nestor of Gerenia led them all, his sons and sons-in-laws, to his great house. And in they went to the famous hall of Nestor, taking their seats on thrones and easy chairs, while the old man mixed water in a wine bowl, with sweet red wine, mellowed 11 years, before his housekeeper uncapped the jar. They really like drinking wine. Half this book is them drinking wine. He mixed and poured his offering, repeating prayers to Athena, daughter of royal Zeus. The others made libation and drank deep. And then all the company went to their quarters, and Nestor of Gerenia showed Telemachus under the echoing eastern entrance hall. Telemachus is drinking. He's 16. He's like drinking tons and tons of wine. This isn't healthy. He's going to get alcohol poisoning. To a fine bed near the bed of Pystratos, captain of the spearmen, his unmarried son. Then he lay down in his own inner chamber, where his dear faithful wife had smoothed his bed. So they're having a fun sleepover. Their mom made cookies. Their mom unlocked their wine cabinet for them. And they got a hold of the wine. And then Telemachus, he's completely drunk, so he needs to sleep it off, He's gonna have a hangover in the morning. It's just really bad for a 16-year-old to have so much wine. When dawn spread out her fingertips of rose, Lord Nestor of Gerenia, charioteer, left his room for a throne of polished stone, white and gleaming as though with oil, that stood before the main gate of the palace. Neleus here had sat before him, masterful in kingship. Neleus, long ago a prey to death, gone down to the night to the underworld. So Nestor held his throne and scepter now, and Lord of the Western approaches to Achaia. And presently his sons came out to join him, leaving the palace. Achephron and Stratios, Perseus and Eridos and Thrasimides, and after them the Pisistratos, bringing Telemachus along with them. Seeing all present, the old Lord Nestor said, "Dear sons, here is my wish, and do it briskly, to please the gods. Athena, first of all, my guest in daylight at our holy feast. One of you must go for a young heifer, and have the cowhead lead her from the pasture. Another call on Lord Telemachus' ship to invite his crewmen, leaving 2 behind. And someone else, again, send for the goldsmith, Laerches, to gild the horns. The rest stay here together to tell the servants a ritual feast will be prepared in hall. Tell them to bring seats, firewood, and fresh water." It's basically Nestor's, all these people gathering up. And then for some reason, there's Nestor, he sits on his throne, all these people gather up, and then he's like, "Okay, everybody, take the people, get everything right, get ready to take them, leave 2 of the people behind, blah, 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 blah." Send out the plan. The plan's pretty stupid. I don't know why Nestor's like this. Nestor's a crazy old man. Before he finished, they were about these errands. The heifer came from the pasture, the crewmen of Telemachus from the ship. The smith arrived, bearing the tools of his trade, hammer and anvil, and the precision tongs he handled fiery gold with. And Athena came as a god comes, numinous to the rites. Okay, so all these people start coming in, because, he called them in. The smith now gloved each horn in a pure foil, beaten out of the gold that Nestor gave him, a glory and delight for the goddess's eyes. While Achephron and Stratios held the horns, Eridos brought clear lustral water in a bowl, quivering with fresh-cut flowers, a basket of barley in his other hand. Thrasimides, who could stand his ground and more, stood ready with a sharp 2-bladed axe for the stroke of sacrifice, and Perseus held a bowl for the blood. This is a weird ritual. And now Nestor, strewing the barley grains and water drops, pronounced his invocation to Athena, and burned a pinch of bristles from the victim. When prayers were said and all the grain was scattered, great-hearted Thrasimides, in a flash, swung the axe, at one blow cutting through the neck tent. He just killed someone. I have no clue what's going on. The hyper spirit failed. Then all the women gave a wail of joy. Daughters-in-laws, and the lady Eurydice Clymenos' eldest daughter. But the men still held the heifer, shored her up from the wide earth where the living goes their ways, till Pysestros cut her throat across. The black blood ran, and her life ebbed from her marrow. The carcass now sank down, and they disjointed shoulder and thigh bone, wrapping them in fat 2 layers, folded with raw strips of flesh. These offerings Nestor burned on the split wood fire and moistened with red wine. I think this isn't a person. I don't think this is a person. I think this is an oxen? I don't know what heifer means. Let's look up what heifer means, because I hope this... Heifer. A young female cow. Whoo! Oh my god, that scared me. I thought that was a person. So they're sacrificing a cow. They're just describing the ritual. So this is like there's the Hakia. What was it called? I don't remember what it's called, but it's where they sacrifice oxen for the gods. Woo! All right. The carcass now sank down, and I already said that. These offerings, I already said that. His sons took up 5-tined forks in their hands, while the altar flamed, ate through the bones, and bits of tripe went round. Then came the carving of the quarters, and they spitted and broiled them at arm's length upon the fire. Polycastes, a fair girl, Nestor's youngest, had meanwhile given a bath to Telemachus, bathing him first, then rubbing him with oil. They like oil. They like oil back in Greece. Like they describe the glistening of the gold room like to oil. I don't know why they like oil so much. She held fine clothes and a cloak to put around him. When he came godlike from the bathing place, and out he went to take his place with Nestor. When the best cuts were broiled and off the spits, they all sat down to banquet. The gentle squires kept every golden wine cup brimming full, and so they feasted to the heart's content, until the prince of charioteers commanded. So Telemachus, he got scrubbed down. He got scrubbed down by the scrumptious little old lady. I don't know. Nestor's youngest girl. I guess it was normal back in those days to have a girl bathe you. Yeah, and they did a sacrifice, and they described it in detail. Those are the Greeks for you. They love their sacrifices. Sons, harness the blood mares for Telemachus. Hitch up the car and let him take the road. They swung out smartly to do the work, and hooked the handsome horses to a chariot shaft. The mistress of the stores brought up to provisions of bread and wine, with victuals fit for kings, and Telemachus stepped up on the painted car. Just at his elbow stood Pysestros, captain of spearmen, reins in hand. He gave a flick to the horses, and with streaming manes they ran for the open country. The tall town of Pylos sank behind them in the distance, as all day long they kept the harness shaking. And so this charioteer, he's like, oh, let's get going, guys. And so they get to work, and they get moving. The sun was low, and shadows crossed the lanes. When they arrived at Phyrae, there Diocles, son of Ortilochos, whom Alphaeus fathered, welcomed the young men, and they slept the night. But up when the young dawn's fingertips of rose opened in the east, they hitched the team once more to the painted car, and steered out eastward through the echoing gate, whipping their fresh horses into a run. That day they made the grainlands of Lacedaemon, where, as the horses held to a fast clip, they kept on their journey's end. Behind them the sun went down, and all the roads grew dark. Woo! Okay. Anyway, what happened in this? So Athena and Telemachus, they get to Nestor, and Nestor just rambles, and they tell them nothing. They tell them absolutely nothing. But then Nestor's like, go to this other guy. He'll probably know more. And then Athena just reveals herself as the real person for some reason. I don't even know why she bothers disguising herself. And so, God, that was a bad idea. Okay. And then Telemachus is traveling with everyone to go to the thing. And then they reach the thing at nighttime. This is a stupid chapter. Like, this is not a good book. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens.